Hello, great Americans out there. I would like to talk to you about I need to prove evolutionists wrong once and for all.
To be honest, I don't see that happening, but if you do, let me know when the next Nobel Prizes are handed out, because I'm pretty sure you'd be getting one.
I showed you all those great books there, and the song by Avenged Sevenfold. And, you know, we've taken, us creationists and patriots out there have taken way too much from evolutionists and atheists.
Oh my God, won't someone think of the oppressed majority?
It's time to fight back, guys. It is time to fight back.
Yeah, put 'em up, put 'em up. I'll take Shazan with one arm tied behind me back.
I urge any creationist or any patriot that believes in God to get on the camera and then start fighting this battle with atheists, because we need to do it, guys. We need to do it.
And why exactly do you need intellectually curb stomped?
I want to talk about evolution being incorrect and not reliable. It's not a reliable belief. Evolutionists, they believe that dinosaurs lived, millions of years ago, died off millions of years ago, and we came about 500,000 years ago. This is not true. And the reason why it's not true is because there are ancient drawings, ancient cave paintings, ancient artifacts, like pottery, things like that, rugs, that have pictures of dinosaurs.
Well, if you like that stuff, I got something really interesting to show you. Proof that humans have been visited by aliens for the past few hundred years.
And obviously people had pictures of dinosaurs. Obviously they lived among them, and I know atheists will say, well, we have creative minds, so they just thought of it and they happen to be right. I doubt that. Things that we think of, they come from things that we know of. Like a fairy is a human, and they put some bug wings together and they made a fairy. Or the color pink, an elephant, and we have a pink elephant. Or dragons, for that matter. Wings, dinosaur, dragon.
People do have a very active imagination. Why do you think children are always afraid of the monsters that are under their bed or in the closet? It's because your mind will play tricks on you. Now the Greeks, they believe they're these massive warriors known as Cyclops. They used to roam about. And they based this off of something in real life. They found mammoth skeletons. Mammoth skeletons have a great big nasal cavity. But with their lack of understanding of how to put skeletons together, they assumed that was the eye. And it had to have come from a massive warrior. And chances are the stories of these dragons are either someone saw a big-ass lizard and exaggerated it, or they saw the fossils of a dinosaur and went, yeah, you guys weren't here, but I totally killed that, so write a cool song about me so I can get me some wenches.
Now, in the Bible, it actually talks about a creature that breathes fire and lives in the sea, and it actually calls it a dragon. There's also another part in the Bible that talks about a creature that has the tail of a cedar, a cedar tree, the tail of a cedar tree, long neck, and doesn't fear floods. Stands strong. That sounds like a dinosaur to me.
Is this the same Bible that says bats are birds and that rabbits chew cud?
The fact that there's also about 500 years ago a saint died, and at his funeral they had little brass pipes, and on those brass pipes were carvings of dinosaurs. So, in fact, that almost every culture talks about dragons, and every culture talks about the flood too.
500 years ago is around the time of the medieval period where people actually believed in dragons. So it could have been lizards exaggerated to look like dragons. Could have just been some cool looking lizards. But this flood myth that you're so certain about, and how it's spread to a number of different cultures. From what I understand, the flood myth comes from an ancient polytheistic religion where there was a flood. People probably thought it was the deities punishing them. Then the story of how big that flood is got exaggerated. The size of things always get exaggerated with every telling of the story. The size of the fish you caught, the number of girls you slept with, etc., etc. But there's a number of other myths that permeate a lot of cultures. Aliens, for one. You know, the Renaissance art. There's cave paintings of strange shapes in the sky. There's the more modern pictures of UFOs. Then there's Bigfoot, Yeti, Sasquatch, Skunk Ape, depending on where you live. People have a very active imagination.
Here's another point. The flood. Now, evolutionists, they don't accept the flood.
Because it is impossible. Physically impossible. There simply isn't enough water to cover the entire world, the way the flood claims.
They had like 7 or 8 different theories in the 80s, which were accepted by the world, why dinosaurs died off. One of them was sunburn. I know, it sounds crazy.
That's one I haven't heard before.
One of them was a meteor. One of them was a lot of meteors.
There are a number of very large craters we've found from where meteors have struck. Meteors large enough that would have flash boiled any water directly in front of them, making it so that even though the impact crater is in the ocean, where it hit technically would have been dry land. That's pretty big. That's going to do some damage. Now, whether or not meteors were the exact cause, I don't know. I don't know if we'd ever be able to get enough evidence to suggest it. But having a little bit of evidence to suggest something reasonable is a lot better than having no evidence to suggest something that's impossible.
One of them was CO2 emissions. Now, I wonder who the people that believe in CO2 are really believing there.
I don't know much about the CO2 hypothesis, other than CO2 has been associated with several mass extinction events in the past. Elevated levels were present at the times of mass extinctions, such as the last ice age.
One of them was the atmosphere became polluted and they died off.
That's another one that's new to me.
One was the Ice Age.
From what I understand, the Ice Age is usually tacked onto the one about CO2 or meteorites because conditions would cause climate shift that would cool everything off, possibly allow the ice sheets to extend downwards. But I've never heard it as a theory by itself.
And their most current is dinosaurs evolutionized to birds. I know, guys, I don't know how that happens.
I think you're making a little bit of crap up there. I've never heard anyone say the reason all the dinosaurs disappeared was because they became birds. Now, we know one lineage of dinosaurs gave rise to birds, but I've never heard that as, oh, all the dinosaurs went away because they became birds.
I mean, reptiles, their little scales are just folds of skin, but somehow they turned into intricate feathers with hooks that go around the bones, and so magnificent, so complicated, and they just went from that to that.
Quick biology lesson for you. Hair, as well as scales and feathers, are all made of the same protein. It's called keratin. This is why we know that one lineage of reptiles could have given rise to birds, while another lineage of reptiles gave rise to mammals. The protective outer covering that grows out of the skin is made from the same protein. Hair is a modified form of a scale, as well as feathers are modified forms of scales. Birds have scales on their feet, very similar to those that reptiles have. Archaeopteryx, dinosaur, you mentioned in another video, and I'll go into more detail there, also has feathers. It was also mostly reptilian, well, proto-bird, whatever you want to call